If you've had kids in New Hampshire in the last couple of decades and yours is a typical working family, you face this dilemma. When do parents go back to work? For some new moms, due to financial pressures, it's just a matter of days or a few weeks before they return to their jobs. And the experts say that's not good for the children, for mothers, for employers, or for our society at large. Some people want to ease that burden, and one of them is Karen Hicks, a senior advisor to the Campaign for a Family-Friendly Economy. Thanks for joining us, Karen.
Thanks for having me.
Set the scene for us here. This is a long-term public policy problem, and you would argue that the framework we have around this part of American life is antiquated.
I think so. So for many years, since the early 90s, we've had family and medical leave, but it's unpaid. And so this proposal that we're looking at in New Hampshire is really an essential piece of financial stability legislation to allow family members to take the time to care for a new child, welcome them home, to care for an aging parent, or care for themselves when they face chronic health conditions. And so the proposal offers temporary partial wage replacement. It's funded through premium payments where people would have the ability to opt out if they didn't want to participate in the program. And so we think it's a common sense solution that really helps New Hampshire address many of the critical problems that we're facing.
Well, we'll touch on the funding more in a second there, but this is broader than just new moms. This also involves people who've had medical issues. Explain the sort of the scope of who this would cover.
Yes, so for qualifying events, this would allow people to take up to 12 weeks off in a calendar year, and it would cover adoption or the birth of a child for not just moms but also dads. It would help if a spouse breaks a hip and needs care recovering for that. This can help somebody from having to go into a nursing home because they need care at home. And if the case is for as it is for most families in New Hampshire, to take that leave to help somebody recover from an illness like that is really not an option because they really need to bring home that paycheck. And so if you're out for 6 weeks, most families aren't in a position to be able to cover that.
Let's delve a little bit more into how this system would work. You have employees can opt out of the system, employers can opt in. I guess, you know, the employers can say, we would like to pay this insurance for them.
Yes.
But can that raise enough money to cover everyone?
Yes, so the way the program would work is individuals would pay premium payments because it is an insurance program. And so you would have the ability to opt out one time at the beginning of your employment to say, I'm not interested in this, I'm not going to take this. And so that's the opt-out provision. But if you opt in after you've paid into the system for 6 months, you would have the ability for qualifying events, take the leave and receive the temporary partial wage replacement for up to 12 weeks.
And Republicans are signing on to this in some small measure. You've got Steve Dupree, Capital Region developer and RNC committeeman, who's joining on. But I did speak to one Republican last week who was saying, he came up to me and said, he's like, this is Obamacare math behind this. Essentially arguing that it doesn't add up and that eventually you will need some sort of a broad-based tax on payroll to make it work. How do you convince those legislators that that's not the case?
So this enjoys really broad popular support. We've looked at polling done by UNH that says 80% of people support the establishment of a program. The support really is deep, crosses party line, and so it is a very, very popular program with the public. And then we've had a lot of bipartisan support in the legislature. There's Republican co-sponsors. It came out of the Labor Committee with a very strong bipartisan vote. The initial subcommittee that looked at it voted unanimously, which is something that's really rare these days. And then we got a strong bipartisan vote out of the Labor Committee. And so I think once you really dig into it, you see that it does work. We had an actuarial study by UNH that helped us really make this program New Hampshire specific. And they have estimated what it takes in premium payments. For most folks, you would pay about $5 per pay period to support this. It's 0.5% of wages, and the program, once it's established, is self-sustaining. There's also a process for an annual review of the finances to make sure that it's on solid financial footing, and so we feel quite confident. If we're able to get a good vote out of the House when it comes up in January, the next stop along the way would be the House Finance Committee that will really dig in deep and do their diligence on making sure that this works and it has proper financial safeguards.
And taking a step back here, a lot of the deciders in Concord have been reading their Robert Putnam, the book Our Kids, that talks about the opportunity gap in the United States. How does a policy like this fit into closing the gap that we see now between people of means and people who do not have?
Well, I think, going out and talking to most middle-class families in New Hampshire, people are hustling to make it work. 70% of families with young children have every available adult in the workforce, and if you look at the high cost of living in the state, people just don't have much of a cushion. And so average rent in Manchester is going to cost you $18,000 a year. Child care expenses, I know you know this, $12,000 a year on average for center-based care. And so, for the typical person brings home $50,000 a year. And so that's $30,000 before you've paid a car payment, before you've bought any food, before you've paid any other bills. And so you can see why families today are struggling. And in fact, the Federal Reserve came out with a statistic last year that said 50% of families can't afford $400 of unexpected expense. And so that's if you have something go wrong with your car, or you have an unexpected medical expense that's not covered by health insurance. So families are really struggling to make the ends meet around the kitchen table. And so this is a really important financial stability mechanism to make sure that when someone gets sick, which happens if we live long enough, 50% of us will have cancer at some point in our lives, to have a baby. These are things that shouldn't really drive you into financial ruin. And so this is an effort to really modernize our policies to recognize what today's families are facing. 40 years ago, most people had somebody who was at home full time to help provide the care that older folks need, that younger kids need, and it's just not the case today, that it takes two people working to really make the ends meet. And so this helps provide the financial basis to give kids the start that they need, and it reduces stress. And so all of those things can be extremely stressful. It should be a joyous time when you welcome a new baby, but too many people are back to work 2 weeks after giving birth or having a C-section, and everybody agrees that that's just too early, doesn't allow for that important bonding time, and help kids really get the right start and make this less stressful for families.
And counterintuitively, the research shows that if mom does have more time off there, she's actually going to work more hours during that year following the birth than she would have if she had to go right back.
Well, this is partially why conservatives are really looking hard at this policy, and we're finding a lot of support, is that this allows parents to get back into the workforce more quickly. They work more hours following the birth of a child, and they're much less likely to need public assistance, food stamps, and things like that. And so it's really an important piece of the financial puzzle that offers family peace of mind that these events won't require you to either go deeper into debt to manage this, or not be able to make a car payment, which takes you out of the workforce. The other problem that we face in New Hampshire that this will help address is the opioid crisis, as well as our general workforce shortage. And so one of the things that we found in states that have adopted this is this helps older workers stay in the workforce. And so if you're 61 or 62 and need your knee replaced, most people would say, I don't know, can I afford to just skip the last 2 years of work and retire? And so this is, by allowing people to have this temporary wage replacement, it actually strengthens their connection to the workforce. And also on opioids, this allows people to take the time to get help themselves when they're recovering from an opioid addiction, or support a child who's in recovery. And so that's just a real thing that all the lawmakers are really scratching their head at how we can do this. And this Invest in the Family is the first unit of support for managing any of these unexpected life events.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see how this develops over the coming year in the legislative session. Karen Hicks from a Campaign for a Family-Friendly Economy, thanks for joining us this
Thanks,
summer.
Adam.
We appreciate it.